says to do S2H marketing, we need strong technological inputs and interfaces. But does that not impact the long-term customer relationship? How can a brand balance short-term goals of sales with long-term goals of brand loyalty and advocacy?
I mean, you come up with really difficult questions. I mean, I mentioned two companies. Yeah, I have seen the development of Flipkart, and when you look at the development of companies like this, you see how they set priorities. And of course, by setting priorities for making the customer experience the ultimate measurement for success, then of course you come to the boundaries where you will say, hey, I have to sacrifice some other ones in the back or right or left. So you have to consider there is not only the brand loyalty from a company point of view, as I mentioned before, there is also the brand loyalty from the customer. The customer wants the loyalty, but if the customer sees that he's actually taking for a ride, that they are taking advantage of him, they may walk away. So it's actually a very tricky way. It's always going, yeah, on the edge, on the nice one. So the decisions have to be made every day. You really have to see it, and we have the opportunity to get all kind of data. I mean, with the social media, you get the thousands of data all around, and one day we even get neurodata. I mean, there's so much to do. Nevertheless, at the end of the day, the management has to make a decision, and brand loyalty is not the ultimate goal. I mean, we have to make many other goals important. From Unilever, we know that profits are now number 7. Community health could be number 2. Individual health could be number 1. So you have to set this kind of super goals and then create the mechanism, create the processes that the interaction with the customer and the other members of the stakeholders are incorporated.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you. There's another question from Ms. Sonal. What advice would you like to give to the micro, small, or medium enterprises to adapt and practice H2H marketing? Because we've talked about the high-tech companies. So a piece of advice for small, medium, and enterprises would be a great help, I believe.
I like this question. Thank you very much. I like it for 2 reasons. Number 1, it actually draws the connection to the history, where we had only small and medium-sized companies, and the future, the digitalization. Today's small and medium-sized companies have a similar opportunity or a similar playground than the large ones. Of course, they don't have the resources, but with the digitalization, they actually could reach everybody in the world. Now, the question is how to reach. In the old days, the individual went to the market and met their customer face to face. In the digital world, you also can do that. But of course, you have 8 billion or 9 billion people or 5 billion internet users. Where do you have to find them? And my answer is, if there's a chance that the customer comes to you, there's a reason why small companies can survive. I'll give you an example. I have an old traditional company in the Black Forest here, not far away from here. They are 350 years old. They build musical instruments. Actually, they build organs for churches, blow instruments, yeah, large ones, small ones. And of course, the need for this kind of instruments is going down. churches are all built, there's not too much funding. But Japanese people like this kind of music. And Japanese people have enough money to buy such a machine. I mean, it's not cheap. We talk 10,000, 20,000 euros, not a cheap thing. But they do. So this company, which I know, set up a Japanese homepage, and this sales increased by 50%. Because the Japanese like this. So the question is, how can you, as a small company, identify the few people which you need for your customers worldwide? You can do it by going to the market, right? But you also can do it by going online. And you can go to Japan, as I mentioned. But I mean, I'll give you the example from Ayurveda. This Indian medicine approach, it is so admired in Germany. Of course, you cannot make an Indian homepage or an Indian Facebook page that nobody will read that. So you have to have a German one. Actually, you should have also an Austrian one. This is German, but it's very different German. And you should have a Swiss one. They speak German too, but very different. So what I'm saying is, if you understand that one-to-one concept, there's a huge possibility for small and micro companies to serve in this global world now. But of course, it's a different thinking.
Absolutely, absolutely, sir. I'm sure there's long list of questions around. If you permit me, I can take one last question.
Thank you, thank you.
Right, sir. So this question comes from Dr. Bava, Dr. Pradeep Bava. So he asks, H2H marketing increases the cost and decreases the accuracy. While the digital firms are evolving and firms going global, how can the firms protect their revenues through H2H marketing?
I have to admit, I don't understand the question really.
See, I think the question is around the cost versus benefit analysis. You can say that, right?
About cost and benefit analysis, yeah. It is one of the essential questions, right?
Yeah.
In the old days, we measured reach, right? And then the old saying was 50% of our budget is lost by communicating with the world. You remember Ogilvy's phrase, but we don't know which 50%. But today, in today's world, it's actually different. In today's world, you really can see every dollar you spend being rewarded. And actually, we came to this concept because we did the B2B2C approach. And the B2B2C approach is a small company providing a component to a OEM, which sells it to the final market. And of course, this small company does not have the large budget for communication than the big companies. And the most famous example for this is Intel. So when Intel started the Intel Inside program, it was a company of $450 million revenue, 1986. And the most important thing was that they discovered when they invest in marketing communication, and you probably noticed that I said invest and didn't have the cost. So they took marketing communication or marketing per se, so product development, channel development, and communication development as investment. And each investment, and of course they had many projects, were totally measured. And only the one which came to a success were continued. And the Intel Inside was created through this direct combination of investment and return. And since we are in the digital world today, we can instantly measure how many people are looking at our homepage, how many people are liking our social media, how many people are reading our content, how many people are watching our YouTubes, and how many people are ordering online. So we have the full data available. So today, Ogilvy's phrase is not true any longer. Every dollar spent is justified. I actually have different experience. If I set up a Facebook site and all the mechanism around, and I've done that for many projects and many nonprofit organizations, and I invest €1,000, I have seen projects which have created €100,000 on the return. So the ROI is actually complete out of whack if you do it right. So we have, and that's one of the reasons why so many digital companies are so super successful and so super profitable, because that mechanism is now totally transparent. You can make it transparent. If you don't do it, it's your problem. So what I'm saying is, if you are using the existing possibilities of technology and marketing technology, you, even as a small company, can do with small investments big benefits. Let me say one more sentence, but you really need to understand. So the investment into market research is now much bigger. And actually, I think today, truckers' wish comes true that marketing is actually making sales obsolete. And small companies can do that too. So I think with the H2H marketing, you can make your decision if you want to go for profit, Facebook, right? Or if you want to go for serving the environment. I mean, Bitcoin. What's the use of Bitcoin? Creating money out of money and having server farms which use more electricity than Denmark and whole Scandinavia. Is that beneficial for the world? Well, it's beneficial for some people, but probably not for the world. So I would put a question mark to this kind of products.
Right. So thank you so much for answering these questions, and I'm sure the other students and faculties and audience who are waiting for their turn to come, I'm sure we and our team would be answering. I'm sure we are running short of time also. So thank you so much, Professor Waldemar, for such an enlightening solution and answers to the queries that we have handled today. I would now like to.
Let me say one word. Thank you very much too. I appreciate your activities. If you want to organize something more, just let me know. I think there's much more to discuss. And actually, there is much more to understand for me about India, because I believe the thinking in your country, the holistic approach fits very much to the H2H marketing. And therefore, I would like to encourage the companies, but also the academic scholars, to use the concept, to further develop the concept, to apply the concept, to come up with case studies, whatever is necessary to spread the
that, sir, we want to extend an invitation to your good self. Professor Verma, as soon as possible, kindly visit us.
Definitely, sir.
And we'll love